Hey, it's Zadie. You are watching Flytte Kartina, which is my channel for movie reviews. And today I'm going to be reviewing this movie that came out last weekend, which was Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. For everybody here who is a new viewer, I'm going to give you a general overview of what is going to happen in this video. And if you don't want to hear me mention this explanation again, you should subscribe down below. Then you can skip past me and do whatever it is you do when you're skipping the skip button. In the first half, I'm going to give just a regular overview of the rating of the film and why it was rated that way, and along with a couple of explanations behind those ratings because I have seen the movie. And then in the second part, there will be a non-spoiler portion of my thoughts on the film. Alrighty, let's go. So we have a very simple rating of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. That is a mouthful of a title. So Fantastic Beasts 2, which is what we're going to be calling it for this remainder of the video, because I really don't want to say like 7 words every time I say the title of this movie. This movie was rated PG-13 for some sequences of fantasy violence. If you're familiar with the Harry Potter movies and just what goes on in them, it's kind of self-explanatory, but I'm gonna explain it anyway for the people who are like me who haven't seen any of the Harry Potter movies except for Fantastic Beasts series. Hold off on your judgment because I did read the books, and yeah, I just never got around to seeing the movies, and my best friend is very upset at me for not seeing them. So we're probably gonna do a marathon at some point, but that's something that you guys don't need to know. So some sequences of fantasy violence. Basically, this guy breaks out of prison, and hence the name The Crimes of Grindelwald. So there's going to be crime involved. There are a couple of characters who get killed, and it's off camera, so you don't actually see any of these killings. You just see the aftermath of it, and you know, there's no blood or really any sort of contortioning or anything like that. For the dead bodies, that is. Now, there are some things that the MPAA didn't give us in this rating explanation, and they're very small things, so they don't really need to be included, but for the sensitive people out there, I will include them in this review. So, in the Harry Potter universe that J.K. Rowling has created, there are things like potions that transform your likeness to look like somebody else. So, one of the characters uses one of these polyjuice potions and, you know, drinks it, and then they kind of just twitch and that kind of thing. Like, you can imagine. I don't really want to explain it because I'm bad at words. And then there's this girl and she turns into a snake, and basically she contorts her body into it. It's not totally uncomfortable, but for people who can't handle like contortionists, maybe want to close your eyes for like maybe 5 seconds of the movie. There's also some like moments where there's a guy and he's got a parasite in him, and parasites in the magical world are not good, and they're probably going to be gross. So basically, I'm going to describe this scene to you in less detail than I saw it. This is not spoiling anything, but basically this guy has a parasite in him, and the only way they can reach it is through his eye socket. So I'll leave the rest up to your imagination. If you don't want to see that, it's like maybe a minute or so in the film, and that's it. The rest of it is fine. Yeah. Also, hence the name Fantastic Beasts, there are some pretty terrific like creatures in this movie, and so they're very scary to everybody except for the main protagonist, which is a little bit interesting. In the trailers you might see a couple of the creatures, but honestly, if you're children, mostly I'm thinking of children, if your children are terrified of scary creatures like monsters who hide under your bed, maybe refrain from having them watch this. So I'm going to pull up a frequency chart on how frequent these elements that I just explained were in the entire movie. And this is gonna be pretty low on the scale. It's probably gonna be a 4, which is less than average, but not like completely unnormal. Really, the rating didn't deter me from seeing the movie or like change my perspective on it or anything. And this movie was very interesting. It has some interesting twists and turns in many different ways. But lastly, for this first part of the video, I'm gonna pull out my magical scale of movies, and I'm going to rate this movie on a scale of Steamboat Willie to Deadpool on how appropriate this movie is for younger audiences. And I'm going to rate it an average 5, which is Night at the Museum. If the Night at the Museum rating means anything to you, it'll mean something translating into the Fantastic Beasts movie. What that means is these movies are alike in their rating and how the rating was executed in both of these movies. Okay, let me just give you a brief overview of what this movie is all about before I get into some of my opinions on them. These are non-spoiler, by the way. Don't have any spoilers in my reviews. I have spoiler rants for those. So this plot summary is taken from the Fantastic Beasts website. At the end of the first film, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, a powerful dark wizard, Grindelwald, was captured by Makusa with the help of Newt Scamander. But making good on his threat, Grindelwald escaped custody and has set about gathering followers, most unsuspecting of his true agenda, which is to raise pure-blood wizards up to rule over all non-magical beings. In an effort to thwart Grindelwald's plans, Albus Dumbledore enlists his former student Newt Scamander, who agrees to help, unaware of the dangers that lies ahead. Lines are drawn as love and loyalty are tested even amongst the truest friends and family in an increasingly divided wizarding world. So, basically, that's what happens in the entire movie. What I thought about this movie, I think it was okay. It is probably a very good middle. This movie obviously leads up to the third installment of the trilogy of Fantastic Beasts, so it's very confusing for the viewers to watch just in general. There were so many plot lines that I was trying to follow at the same time, and like things were being introduced, I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? Characters were being introduced that didn't get used at all in the third act, and the final plot twist at the end was not very rewarding because we didn't actually see it coming. They threw a major red herring in front of our faces like here, and they led us on the path, and then they're like, wait a minute, it's actually going this way. And you're watching it like, what? How? Huh? The Harry Potter universe is huge enough as it is, and there are so many characters already existing, but they keep adding new ones for some reason. And there are so many characters and different plot lines are happening. So I have seen the first Fantastic Beasts movie, but this one was like a totally different movie almost. There were little things that I did appreciate about the movie, like there were little tiny creatures introduced in the beginning. There's a whole scene with all of these different creatures that Newt keeps in his living quarters. I don't know what they are. It's really cool to see like the wizarding world expand, but at the same time some of the things that they introduced were kind of useless to the overall plot. Don't get me wrong, world building is important, but sometimes it's not completely necessary in some situations, like introducing a creature that is never used once in the entire film. I could follow it, but a lot of people couldn't. There's a huge plot twist at the end, as I've mentioned before, and it's probably gonna make sense in the third installment of the trilogy, but I don't know. Basically, to summarize everything that I just said, I was generally confused the entirety of watching this movie. If you want to see it in the theaters, go ahead, but I think this isn't something that I would see in the theaters if I had a choice. But question of the week when you're going down to the comments down below is, what is your Patronus and what is your house? Since I never answer any of my own questions, I'm gonna answer these ones for once. My house is Slytherin and my Patronus is a crow. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. While you're scrolling down, leave a like and then subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great random Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in America. For everybody else, just happy random Thursday. I'll see you on the other side of the screen. Bye!